Well, hello there. Greetings. Scott Howell here. Scott Howell and Associates, Nationwide Insurance. Thank everybody for joining us today for Ask the Insurance Guy online. We're here today to talk about my superstar guest that I have with me, as you can see. And I want to first start out, and the reason we're doing this show today, and before I introduce our guest, is this last week has been an explosion in the video gaming industry, in the world of smartphones and the technology world, with the introduction of what is known as the first mainstream, remember that word, mainstream, location-based augmented reality mobile video game. First one that's ever come out that is mainstream. There have been a couple predecessors, and we're going to talk a little bit about those today. But this is going to be the first mainstream video game, and I would like to introduce my guest today. Let's start out by getting his name right, because lots of people call him by different things. So the easiest way I can remember to call him by the correct name is, it's actually, if you remember the old show Happy Days, the Fonz used to go, "Ay." So it's actually Pokeman, Pokemon instead of Pokemon. That's the easiest way I remember the pronunciation. But our special guest star today is the incomparable Pokemon. And we are excited to have him here today. The new video game that was introduced on, it's 10 days ago, July the 6th, by a company called Niantic. We're going to talk about them in a minute too. As of Monday of this week, this video game, Pokeman Go, was downloaded 7.5 million times. I'm going to assume that number has probably tripled or quadrupled by now. And again, first mainstream location-based augmented reality mobile video game that has ever been introduced. It is now going to give us the ability to go from playing a video game on your couch or in your bedroom to getting out and about in the real world and actually playing a video game. And that's in some ways pretty cool. In other ways, being in the insurance industry, it's a little dangerous. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So for all the people like me that are old, I am 44 years old. I did not get on the Pokemon bus when it came out in 1996. Let's talk a little bit about who is this guy, what is it, why is it such a big deal? Why is this such a big deal in terms of the Pokemon Go stuff? And how is it going to affect your business? Those are all questions that everybody's asking right now, and I want to try to answer some of those today. So this video game that everybody's now downloading on their phone was developed by a software firm called Niantic. So Niantic was a startup at Google, okay? And it spun away from Google in 2015, and it is now its own company. And I'm sure today they are all high-fiving each other and probably trying to figure out how to make all this work and keep it going and all this other good stuff. But congratulations to them and to the Nintendo bunch and to the Pokemon bunch. They figured it out, and I'm about to tell you how they figured it out. And it was a little bit crazy how they did this. So before I tell you that though, what in the hell is augmented reality? Well, it's mixed reality. It's our view of the real world, and overlaid on top of our view of the real world is computer generated images and sound. So while you're out and about, you can actually follow on your phone. You're actually driving or walking down a street, and yet that's overlaid with computer generation and sound is allowing you to walk down a street and actually find these little pocket monsters, these little Pokemon. So It is, as they're calling it, augmented reality. You're going to hear that word a lot in the future, augmented reality. I think there's going to be a lot of other video games that are going to come from this, that are going to use this augmented reality technology. So that's first and foremost. Now, let's go back to Niantic. In 2012, the Niantic software people developed a video game called Ingress. And it is really the predecessor to what is now Pokemon Go. And that video game had kind of a cult following. You can actually download it on your phone. But Niantic, that company that's when they were back when they were with Google. And of course in 2015 they spun away from Google. So there's, I guess, I read something in the New Yorker that I wanted to say. The future often arrives suddenly, and disruption often starts out of a joke. Okay, the future often arrives suddenly, and disruption often starts out of a joke. Here's the joke. Is everybody ready for this? Is everybody ready for this? Here's the joke. April Fool's Day 2014. April Fool's Day 2014, as a joke, Google releases an April Fool's Day joke video that incorporates video mashing between Google Maps and Pokémon. The people at Niantic who are with Google at that time see that video and they run with it. They take it and they take it to the people at Pokemon, and next thing you know, they're developing the game that has just come out July the 6th, Pokemon Go. So what we have now as a real-time video game that you can download on your iPhone or your Android started out as an actual April Fool's joke on April the 1st, 2014. So I find that to be very interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the game though. Again, this is not for millennials. This is not for 16, 17, 18-year-olds. These are for guys like me who absolutely know nothing about the Pokemon video game. So here we go. Let's talk just a little bit about it. What is Pokemon? Well, it originally started out as a video game. In 1990, developer Satoshi Tajiri wanted to combine his love of collecting insects with his love of video games. And he designs the Pokemon video game. But for 6 years, 5 or 6 years, he does absolutely nothing with it. And finally, he partners with Nintendo. And when he partners with Nintendo, they come up with their people, you know, they develop the game. They have I believe a software guy that actually developed the first 151 actual Pokemons. And in 1996, they release Pokemon the video game on the Game Boy. Did you have a Game Boy? Mm-hmm. Did you have a Game Boy?
I did.
Well, in 1996, if you had a Game Boy, you could have bought and started playing Pokemon. From that video game came the show, the actual cartoon Pokemon, and then the playing cards and all the other crap that came with the Pokemon stuff. And so it all started in 1996 with the Game Boy, and really it all started in 1990 when this guy developed this, just as he had the idea of combining these two things. So the world itself, the word itself, Pokemon, is the American westernized contraction of the word pocket monster. You ever wondered what the word Pokemon even stands for? It stands for pocket monster. And so that's what the word stands for. Then, I guess each Pokemon has special abilities, and on the game, which I have downloaded on my phone now, I know that's crazy, but I had to see what this was all about. I don't know that people truly understand what this is about to change, but I have downloaded the game. I have played the game. I've played the game a few times walking and driving, and I will say that it's pretty cool. But in the game Pokemon Go, you know, each Pokemon has special abilities, and you catch these things by using a little red-white Pokeball that catches them once you walk up on them. So, or drive up on them, or whatever you're doing at the time. So that's how you actually catch the Pokemon, is you catch it with these little red and white balls, and you collect the Pokemons, which are pocket monsters. So, as of Monday, and I think I said this earlier, 7.5 million times this game had been downloaded on phones. What's the downside to it? Well, first of all, when you download the game on your phone, all you adults out there, if you're going to download this game, it's going to ask for access to your location, your camera, your contacts. It has access to your Google account. There are people who are worried that if Niantic ever got hacked, that they could get access to your stuff. Now, I don't really live in that world, so I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's just what my understanding is. The Pokemon game also uses a lot of data, and your phone is constantly checking your location via GPS. So while you're playing the game, it's doing your location and constantly using your GPS. So, you know, it's going to use a lot of data. You're going to be outside, so you can't use Wi-Fi. You're going to have to use your data plan if you're going to play this game. So if you've only got, what, 3 gigabytes, of whatever a low gigabyte of data is, it's probably going to eat through that pretty dadgum quick. So remember that. Now, the other thing I've noticed are these Pokestops or Pokestops. These are places that you can collect various items to help you catch a pocket monster, a Pokemon. And I've noticed a lot of churches are Pokestops. I've noticed the John Deere dealership down here, I believe, is a gym stop. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. Have you been playing this?
My brother works there.
Ah, so he's told you about this. Yeah. So the stops are derived from that previous game that we were talking about. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but there's a previous game out there, Ingress, that you can download on your phone. That's the precursor to this now Pokemon Go video game. And a lot of the Pokestops that you find and the gym stops are coming from that previous Ingress video game. And there are some places across the world that are not happy with being a Pokestop. Let me give you a couple of examples. One place that is trying to get off of the Pokestop bandwagon is the Holocaust Memorial in, I believe, in New York or Washington. Is it New York or Washington? I think maybe in Washington, D.C. It has now become a Pokestop. The 9/11 Memorial. So these are places that from that previous video game or telephone game that you could play, Ingress, have now become these Pokestops, and so they are trying to get off that bandwagon.
Shane Sharp just asked, is your nationwide agency a Pokestop?
No, it's not, Shane. Very good question, and exactly what I was about to talk about. So let's talk about your business and what's about to happen. So Shane asked the question, am I a Pokestop? And I am not. And I wish I was, but I'm not. You can buy, through the video game, lures that you can put out. Those lures will bring in the little Pokemons, and that's what you want. Now, how important is that to a business like mine? Not really. It would be kind of cool to have 100 people rushing over here at 2:30 today or 3 o'clock today because I had a Pokemon in here somewhere that they're trying to find. But let me tell you what's about to happen. And nobody's talking about it. I think I've seen it. Somebody's brought it up in an article I read yesterday, and I can't remember where it was. It may have been Entrepreneur or Inc. magazine. Here's the next iteration of what's about to happen. Businesses are going to be able to buy into becoming a Pokestop. Not a huge deal for me because I'm an insurance agency, but let me tell you who that is a huge deal for. McDonald's. Places, any place where you're trying to draw kids, teenagers, millennials to your business, you better jump all over that when it happens, because if you can somehow, buy into becoming a Pokestop and, every 3 or 4 hours a new Pokemon shows up at your business and kids are constantly rushing to your business to get that, that is a big deal.
It's interesting too.
Let's talk a little bit about auto insurance. We try to tie everything into auto insurance. So here's what I know. I know that insurance companies are already seeing a huge spike in accidents due to distracted driving before July the 6th, 2016, when this little guy came out in the form of Pokémon Go. So it would only be rational to believe that this is probably going to add to more distracted driving. Insurance companies were already having a hard time getting ahead of the rate indication prior to that time frame. So now what happens? Because we know we're already seeing some accidents that have occurred that have been publicized on Facebook and other things from people looking for Pokemon Go, Pokemon characters. As of last night, 2 men fell off a cliff in Southern California going after a Pokemon. I think they cut through a fence and went out on the cliff and fell something like 70, 80 feet down and are now hospitalized because they were out, looking for Pokemon. The other thing that I've noticed, and I wanted to bring this up, Auburn University sent out an email. I guess somebody in Auburn was actually mugged. I believe it was 2 nights ago that they were out at 3 a.m. playing the Pokemon Go game and got mugged. So I know that Auburn has sent out an email to their students, and I'm sure faculty, hey, you don't need to be out at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning playing Pokemon Go. So I know that happened. So, there's just a lot of things you need to be extremely careful about. Let me tell you what I noticed, and this was one of the big reasons why I downloaded the game. When I'm driving, I cannot have this game on. And the reason is, number one, I'm going to have a wreck. Number two, when you have the game on while you're driving, you want to play it. You want to play it. And so you're driving down the road, you're running late for a meeting, and all of a sudden, this guy right here is a Rayquaza EX. Actually, I think this card is probably worth some money because this is a hologram card. But this little guy right here is on the side of the road or a mile down from you. You want to go find these guys. So what does it do? It makes you late for wherever you're going. Not to mention the fact you could have a really bad accident out, trying to play the video game on your phone while you're driving. So if you're going to do this, if you're going to play Pokemon Go, you need to let the person in the passenger seat play it and you drive, and that be it. But it is a fun game to play. I think it is cutting edge. I think you're going to see a lot of other video games in this augmented reality that I keep talking about are going to start coming online now, and this is the tip of the spear. This is the beginning of it. But your whole video game thought process is about to change based on this. So again, great game. Love this little guy to death. Wish he could talk today. I'd love to hear what he has to say. But next week we're going to have I believe, former Alabama football player on the show. Looking forward to that next Thursday. Sorry we missed yesterday. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Scott Howell, and I am a insurance agent with Nationwide Insurance. We sell home, auto, life, business insurance. About the only thing we don't sell in this office is health insurance. And we service Colorado, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, and I think about to serve California. Is that right? I think I said that right. Anyway, not yet, but we're working on it. But thank you so much for watching today. We really appreciate it. Again, Scott Howell and Associates, Nationwide Insurance. Pokemon is on your side. Thank you guys for watching today. Any other questions before I let them go? We love you. Periscope, thank you for watching. YouTube, we love you. Facebook Live out. Have a great night. And thank you guys so much for joining us today. See you. I love me some Pokemon. Done.
That was cute. It was interesting too.